Well, here we are. August is almost over. Schools have all either started or are starting next week. And we have one more run of hot weather. It's really, really warm today, and there's a heat warning out today and tomorrow, and maybe even into Tuesday. So just shows you we can't predict a lot of things here, especially the weather. But this week, I'm going to start to try to predict a little bit about what's going to happen in the last 18 weeks of the year. So let's get started and see what happened. Hello there, Les Solgrove, Simply Des Moines Market Values, and it is week 34 of 2024. One more week of August, and next week will be the end of month report for the month, as well as that final recap of the Iowa State Fair data. We got to wait for a full 10 days for that to kick in. But this week's topic, we're going to look at forecasting what's going to happen the final 18 weeks of 2024. It's not really a prediction. I think I said prediction earlier. It's really more of a forecast. And the reason it's a forecast is because I'm relying on technical information from my spreadsheet, working out some forecasting software here. So let's see how that works. In the meantime, thanks for tuning in as you do every week. I enjoy having you join me. And if you like what you see each week, or if you find it valuable, please hit that share button, hit the subscribe button. And if you do hit the subscribe, hit that notification bell. You get a notification once every week's show drops, or if there's anything in between. As always, your support does help this channel grow, and it helps to create great videos for you and everyone else. So let's jump right in and let's join here the show and see what's going on. So one thing we had happen this week, it's a milestone. We actually surpassed the January of 2020 was our last time we had hit more homes for sale, surpassed more homes for sale than that point in time. It was like 3605 or something like that. The new target now is December 29th, 2019, when we had 3,704 homes for sale. And so we're between, that number, and I think that hopefully by this time next week, we will have hit that 3,700 number. It might be a tall order, but I think that with back to school going in session and a lot of distractions kind of going on the wayside here, I think it might be a very good week to see inventory build up a little bit more. But I like this graphic. It reminds me of that cartoon of the guy digging out of the hole, not digging straight up. He digs out a little at a time and then steps on the pile of dirt and keeps digging. So I think that's what we've been kind of doing here in the central Iowa market, is just keeping digging here. So this is a traditional graphic you've seen every so often. I mean, more often than not, because it's the all homes for sale, current inventory levels. And again, there's that 3,630 homes we had for sale. A year ago, we were at just over 3,000 homes. So we have added, virtually 600 homes to the market from this time a year ago, and it's been very, very welcome. Obviously, not all these are inventory coming in. Some of this is just the pace of sales is making inventory grow. But you know what? We're going to take a win where we can. But what we're going to do today is we're going to focus on this final 18 weeks of the year. There's 18 weeks left. And I was working this morning, always trying to come up with something a little different for the show. And this week I thought, I wish I could predict or at least forecast where we're going to end up the year, or maybe the path we'll take to get there. And I was able to find some programming that allowed me to do that. And this is the result. This is that same graphic of all homes for sale. It goes back to January of 2023. And to make it look a little less cluttered, I just simply divided out the year by quarters. So there's 2023 here. We have 2024, and then 2025 starts up here. And we're going to focus on these last 18 weeks, just over a full quarter of the year left here. We got actually, 4 months left of the year after next week. So what you'll see here, let me get rid of that little box there. The dark green line here is the current inventory levels, and this is where we're sitting with that 3604 inventory level. And then from the forecasting software that I've added to the graphics this week, Basically, what this has done is it's looked back specifically 6 months, but it also looks back all the way back to the beginning of this data set. But it takes, for the most part, these 6 months and it tries to extrapolate what's going to happen in these next 18 weeks. And while it is pretty heavy on the last 6 months, it does, you'll see in a couple of these graphics, it does do a very, very good job of predicting the seasonality that we see and also kind of showing you, maybe where we're going to end up. As a result, sometimes you'll see that these predictions or these forecast numbers kind of pick up right where we left off this week. So, for example, next week it looks like we're going to continue to build inventory, and like I said, it would be great if we could hit 4,000 homes next week, but it's probably going to be somewhere maybe into September, according to this forecast. Um, but you can kind of see this is kind of the path we head to, and then when we get near the end of the year, it tends to drop off. So I was pretty impressed with the accuracy of that. And each week, this is all dynamic. So every week when we add new listings, this forecast will adjust as well because it's going to take time and it's just going to move over and over and over just a little bit each week. But it's still going to be looking out that 18-week time period. So this what this basically tells us is that we will end the year somewhere close to around 4,000 homes for sale if this forecast is correct. And I think that's a pretty darn good forecast for us to shoot for. I think we're going to surpass that, and then by the time we get near the end of the year, that final month, it'll tail off just a little bit as it typically does. So there's that peak and then drop off. Here's that peak and then drop off again. So we've seen pretty steady increases all year, so we may not see quite as dramatic of a drop off in fourth quarter as we've seen in previous years, and that's what that forecast is showing. Looking at median list price, and here's where I talked about it a minute ago, where the next week's forecast doesn't quite match up with where we are this week. And some of that has to do with the fact that when it's looking back 6 months and then all the way in the back, you can notice that this number here, the median list price, is kind of all over the place. I mean, it doesn't look like it here, but it does vary by, $3,000 or $4,000 in a week's time, just based on the inventory coming in. And I think that's what this is trying to do. This forecast is saying, you know what, there's going to be a point here this next week where maybe median list prices go back up a little bit due to seasonality and due to past history. And so it's taking that into account. And that's why it's not quite matching up with where we are at the end of this week. But you can see that it is predicting that the forecast is saying out there that by the end of 2024, early first quarter of 2025, we're going to end up with a median list price closer to that $350,000 than we are currently at that 360 or 365 number that we've seen throughout most of the year here, at least early on in the spring. It's been a little under 350 here this last couple of quarters here. But the path is showing us that we are going to kind of slow down a little bit, and that's again looking at the trending from last year. This is not to be unexpected. I think we're going to still end up with pricing a little bit higher than where we were at the end of last year. As far as months of inventory, this is basically the number of homes sitting on the shelf waiting to be bought. Again, there's a lot of, I wouldn't say volatility, but there's a lot of changes week over week. Whoops, I hit that button too quick. Let's go back. Week over week, where you can kind of see that it goes up and down, and therefore this forecast is showing that it's going to probably go down this next week and then pick back up again. And that's likely to be true for the reason that we're looking at um, end of month. So as the end of month comes along, we tend to see a little bit of a change there. And inventory is going to, months of inventory as we move toward the end of the year is going to be a pretty good number there, close to 5. I don't think we're going to get into an even market. That would be 6 months of inventory before the end of the year, but stranger things have happened, but it doesn't look like we're going to do that this year. So as far as pending sales go, this is the number of homes that are currently under contract. This is where we've really suffered. If we were going to say we've suffered this year, we've certainly had the downturn, the slower pace of sales this year, and then that's resulting in fewer homes in pending sale status. the trending shows us moving downward here again, and that's pretty well predicted as well. So we're going to end the year pretty much right where we started the year, with around 1,300 homes in the books waiting to be closed, and that's kind of where we started in 2023. Early 2024 we ended there, and we'll probably do the same thing as we start 2025. As far as the pricing of homes going under contract, this is the pending price, or the price of the home when it went under contract, not necessarily the sale price, but the price where the offers were accepted. I think that what you see here is that uh, we do tend to see this pretty much stable through the end of at least through the end of November, or late November, early December, and then it's going to pick up a little bit. That's the prediction. I think we're probably still going to see it flatten off a little bit more. You can kind of see that the typical path is that it drops off dramatically at the end of the year. But again, it's just our pricing is just pretty strong this year, so it's not unthinkable that this won't maintain that higher pace there, and see where we stand. As far as that 30-day pace I was talking about a second ago, this is the rolling number of homes that went under contract in a 30-day period. So every day we look back, 30 days from today back, 30 days from today back before that, and that shows you kind of the pace of sales that isn't quite all over the place. This one gives you a little bit more stable number, even though it looks like we're going to see the pace of sales pick up a little bit here according to the forecast. And I think that's probably true. There's a lot of talk about mortgage interest rates coming down. I heard this week that a couple of lenders out there have FHA mortgage opportunities out there at just under 6%, which is really a good number to be at, where we need to be there. And so I think there's some excitement brewing out there, especially in that first-time home buyer inventory, or home buyer pool here. So the last slide here is basically the median sale price, and this is a prediction of where prices are going to kind of go. And you'll notice I've added a couple of um, uh, different numbers here. I put a margin of error plus or minus 5%. The top line up there is plus 5%, and this is of course the minus 5%. The forecast says we're going to end the year right around that $300,000 median sale prices, which is kind of where we've been the last several weeks, or even several months. It's actually predicting that we're going to see a rise in that. We do kind of tend to see a little bit of a bump as we move into that fourth quarter. I'm not sure that we're going to maybe see that. So I'm probably leaning more towards somewhere between this 5%, minus 5% margin of error and what it's predicting. I think we're going to stay closer to that 300 as we move toward the end of the year. But I thought that was kind of an interesting way to take a look at this with that plus or minus 5%. So tell me what you think. Do you like this kind of graphics? Do you like this information that I provide like this, something different every week? I'm always trying to find something new to keep it fresh, and keep your questions coming. Anytime I get a question, I tend to try and look at it with the idea of how can I add this to the show each week. So next week's show will be the end of August report. The end of the month is on a Saturday. That means I'll be busy Saturday night and then Sunday putting all those numbers together. We'll also look at the final Iowa State Fair numbers, because we'll wait, it'll be past the 10 days or 11 days after the fair. So I'll be able to button up that report and see if we actually did see an increase in listings over that 11-day period. I think we did. I think we also saw an increase in sale pendings as well. So with that, thanks again for joining me every week. All the graphics for every show is available at DesMoinesMarketValues.com. You can also see past videos from that link as well. And, leave me a message there if you have questions. And in the meantime, stay cool. I'll see you all again next week. Take care.